This is Capital Games. I am the Wiz, and this is the Weekly Dividend for April 14th, 2023. Yeah, so, funny story. I did a Weekly Dividend just now where I went through all the topics and everything playing Cinemora, and I did it for Zero's birthday because he likes shmups, and, you know, he loves the shmups, and I thought, for Zero, I'll play a shmup, whatever. It was good, but, shmups aren't my thing. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I got it done at a good clip. And then when I do my outro, I go to stop the recording, and I realize I didn't record a damn thing. So this is take two. Ah! Oh, my God. I'm so frustrated. So I am not playing Cinemora again. Sorry, Zero. I'm not doing it. But I am going to go ahead and play something that I've been playing for a while now, and that's Marvel Snap. If you haven't played Marvel Snap and you're into card games, I think you're doing yourself kind of a disservice. Even though it is got its free-to-play trappings, and it's, to be honest with you, it's kind of bad. Like, look at this. These are 2 cards with some credits and these boosters, and that's 2,900 gold, which is equivalent to about $40. Like, that's utterly ridiculous. That's 700 gold, which is probably the equivalency of $80. Absolutely ridiculous. I would not recommend doing any of that, but you really don't need to. And I'm going to show some of the things that they do in this game and how it's still fun, even if you don't put a lot of money into this game. But yeah, it's a good game. I really like Marvel Snap. I've been playing it a lot. I continue to play it, and it's become the main card game I play. So I thought, I'll play this for the Weekly Dividend now that I've played Cinemora, and I just do not want to play it again. And I'm so aggravated right now. So let us get into the first set of stories. Let me pick a deck first. I need to play 5 or 6 cards. So why don't we... I'll keep my Destroy deck. Okay? So the first thing that we're going to do right now is we're going to talk delays, announcements, and closings. And the first thing that was a big announcement that happened this week is that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was delayed until February of next year. There have been rumors that this was going to happen. The initial rumor was that it was going to be somewhere along the lines of August, September it was going to come out. I think it was Jeff Grubb who essentially said, I am hearing it's probably going to be next year, probably in the February-March time frame. And it turned out to be February-March is when it's coming out. So, not a surprise. The word on what people thought of Suicide Squad during the State of Play about a month ago was fairly negative. So this is not a surprise. This does not shock me in the very least. Okay. Now, I want to point out something, and to some of you it might be pretty obvious. To others, it's like, what do you mean? Because they're delaying this, I don't think it means that they're going to be getting rid of all the stuff that you guys did not like, which was the battle passes, the always online. I think that's staying. This is not enough time to take all that stuff out. Oh, I got to end my turn. I do that sometimes. This does not mean that... he messed up. Yeah, they're definitely going to keep that stuff in. Like, I would not expect... Okay. I would not expect to see, them go on and say, oh, yeah, and we're going to... And this time, we're going to take out the core gameplay loop. We're going to take out the always online. We're going to take out all the stuff that you don't like. Yeah, I'm going to say right now, that's not happening. That stuff's staying. So if you're, and I hate being a Debbie Downer on this, but if your expectation is, they're gonna get rid of all the stuff that we don't like. Yeah, no, they're keeping that. That is too ingrained in the system already for them to just go ahead and just say, "Oh, okay, we don't need this." No, that's staying. I hate to say it because I know a lot of you were not happy with what they showed off. I think I'm losing this, but I'm going to snap anyway. I know a lot of you weren't happy with what they showed off on there. The gameplay loop, everything that was going on in with the battle pass and everything. That it was going to be an always online game, and I understand. I wasn't entirely thrilled with it either. But for them to change all of that would take more than about 7 or 8 months. That would take a lot more time. So yeah, I lost that. I don't know why I snapped. So yeah, I do not see any. I really just do not see them doing that at all. I think this is either a quality pass, or they are just saying, okay, we need to wait out the bad publicity to then release it later. This is not oh no, we really need to drastically change it. No, that's not what's happening here. This is a wait out. Because if they were going to drastically change things, I think they would have to start all over. So, yeah, that's coming out February 2024. Next one, closed beta test for X-Defiant, now launched. For those of you who don't remember, X-Defiant was the Tom Clancy game that kind of looked like a Overwatch game of sorts. It was very colorful and flashy. Yeah, it looked like a squad-based cooperative, competitive shooter thing. A lot like Overwatch. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but that's what it kind of looked like to me. So, yeah, I haven't heard a lot of people being excited about this game. So I don't know really what to think at this point when it comes to X-Defiant, other than, okay, great. We will probably see, I mean, this is a closed beta test. There's probably NDA involved that people can't show off or talk about what's in the game, but we all know what happens. Someone decides, I want some clout, and I want people to notice me on social media, so I'm going to go ahead and, leak it. And that's probably going to happen. Someone's going to leak this game and show off what's going on in the game. So I would not be in the slightest bit surprised if that happens. And when that happens, we'll find out what the whole game is, essentially. That was clever. Okay. So yeah, I definitely... what am I going to do here? So yeah, I definitely think we're going to find out something, not right away. I would say in the next couple of weeks about X-Defiant in this one. And so we'll hear how good it is and everything, if it's worth our time. So we'll see when that time comes. Next story is Cliff Bleszinski says, stay tuned for Lawbreakers news. This sounds like, to me, one of two things. Either... What do I do here? Let's do this. Oh, I can't do that. Okay. This sounds like one of two things. Either he is going to... Oh, no, I can't... Okay. Shit. All right. This is what I'll do. There's nothing else I can do. Okay. So what this sounds like to me is either Cliff Bleszinski got the IP bought from another company, and they're probably going to... Oh, wow, I got romped. They're probably going to re-release this in by the end of the year, or he brought back Boss Key Games and he's re-releasing the game, but in a free-to-play sense. I think if this game is to succeed in any way, because to be fair, I mean, everyone knows that it bombed and it didn't do well. It died in about a year. But the reviews weren't bad on Lawbreakers. The problem was that essentially, it wasn't a free-to-play game, and people were not going to spend $30 on an untested free-to-play, an untested multiplayer-only game where they don't know how many people are playing. And when you don't know if people are playing the game, it really is hard to convince others to give it a shot. But if it's free-to-play, that's different. You can definitely give... People are more than willing to give a free-to-play game a shot if they hear that, oh, there's a possibility that X people are playing this game. So I think that's what's happening here, is that we're going to hear that Lawbreakers is coming back, and it's going to be free-to-play. I can't really guarantee that, but to me, that's the thing that makes sense, because I don't see a reason as to why you would bring back a game that essentially, hate to say it, essentially died and was not successful if you don't have another pricing structure that you want to attempt. So I think we're going to hear an announcement. Oh, what do you think? I would say probably around, you know what? How much you want to bet it will be on the Summer Games Fest floor? I think that's where it's going to end up. I think it's going to be announced at Summer Games Fest that Lawbreakers is coming back, and it's coming back as a free-to-play title. Call it Lawbreakers Reforged, Rebroken, what the fuck ever. I don't care. But it will come back, I think is what's going on. And I won. All right. So I think that's really the only way it will become successful, because if he says it's coming back and it's $20, it already lost. It's done. It's over. Okay, moving on to the next one. Magic FPS Immortals of Avium will release in July via EA. This will probably be at EA's soiree that they have in June around the E3, now not E3 time. So we'll see some gameplay of that game. But, if this ends up doing pretty well, that can only mean good things for EA. So let's hope it does. I don't really care. But let's see if it does. Would I be surprised if it did well? Not really. I mean, it looks like an interesting game, I guess. So, yeah, let's... Oh, no. Oh, this is crap. Ugh. I don't want to do this, but I have to now. But yeah, this could mean good things if this ends up being a game that people end up liking and enjoying, and it gets good reviews. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, it is... There we go. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. It looked interesting. I don't remember too much. I remember seeing a trailer. It looked interesting. But other than that, I don't remember much about it. But we'll see what turns out when it's probably going to... I think it's going to be shown off at the non-E3 E3 event. To me, at least, I think that makes sense to show that game off. Okay. I think I got this. Okay. Let's move on to the next story. Ubisoft Plus now available on Xbox for $18 a month as part of their Ubisoft Multi-Access plan. So, Ubisoft thought it would have been a smart idea to do the Game Pass thing, but not with Game Pass. They're going to do it as part of their own little thing that they have. Yeah, I don't know if this is going to be a good idea, but I think this is the only option I have, and I can't do it. Shit. I think I lost this one. Oh, okay. I got lucky. Yeah, so they decided that instead of just doing just signing up with Game Pass, that they're going to do their own thing with their own titles for $18 a month. Now, I need to note here that the most recent Assassin's Creed is not there. I don't even think the most recent Far Cry is there. Only the older ones. So if you're looking to play those, yeah, you got kind of a problem. It's not coming. So let me try a different deck. Let's do a discard deck. So yeah, if you're interested in those games, you might want to pass on that. Honestly, if I were Ubisoft, I would come up with a deal with Microsoft to just be on Game Pass. And then, oh no, not these decks. Okay, what's going on right now, the deck I'm using is a discard deck, but this thing right here called Weird World, I'm now drawing for the opponent's deck. So now, yeah, I don't blame them. Yeah, so what then happens is whatever strategy I had is pretty much out the window. But yeah, what I would do is that they should go to Microsoft and say, hey, we want to be on your Game Pass, but, we need better terms. And then Microsoft just raises the price of Game Pass to $20 a month. I think that would probably be the right move on both Ubisoft and on Microsoft's end. Because, as much as Ubisoft gets a lot of shit, their older games is actually still really good and people like them. So, yeah, I think if that ends up being something that happens, I wouldn't be surprised to see a raise in price on the Game Pass at some point. I've been saying it for months now. It's going to happen at some point. But, yeah, this would be no better time as any to then say, you know what, it might be a good time to raise the price. So that's what I think on that end. Moving on to the next one. Super Bomberman R2 gets September release date and crossplay is confirmed. When I was doing my research for this week's episode, I was surprised to find out that Bomberman R got 2 million in sales total. Now, it's kind of not a surprise because that was a launch title for the Switch. So, in that end, it might not be that surprising. But, with that being said, it is still kind of shocking that when it comes to... I'm gonna throw out MODOK. When it comes to the sales on that game, that it actually got that much sales. I'm so kind of surprised by that. Really, I am. So yeah, it's not going to get half the sales that the first Bomberman R did. I really don't see it getting 2 million. I think it's going to get 1 million at this point. Because if I recall correctly, what? It didn't. Unbelievable. Okay, so if I recall correctly, that the reviews and the talk around Bomberman R was not particularly great. But, it is Bomberman, and Bomberman has a not dedicated, but a certain fan base, i.e. old people, who, remember Bomberman fondly. I am one of them. I used to really love Bomberman. So... yeah, I don't see... I see it doing okay. I just don't think it's going to get as much as the first Bomberman did. Like, honestly, I'm still stunned that it got as many sales as it did. Like, I don't get it. But anyway. And finally, Media Molecules ending support of Dreams. I mean, Dreams didn't really shake up the industry or shake up that type of game as much as I think a lot of people were expecting it to. But I think it was still fairly successful. But don't be surprised if you see stuff from Dreams end up in other Media Molecule games. Because that's kind of the dirty secret about this game. And games like Little Big Planet. Is that yeah, you get to do all this stuff, but guess who owns all your content? Media Molecule. So if your great idea for a game suddenly pops up on one of their games, legally there's nothing you can do about it. So, yeah. But, yeah, interesting. But, yeah, Dreams is ending support fairly soon. Okay, so we're going to get into the next topics, which I am calling Celebration of Games. And the next one that we're going to talk about is the Super Mario Brothers movie is now the highest grossing video game movie of all time. It reached the 500 million milestone, and analysts are saying it could reach up to 1 billion at some point. I did not think it was going to reach 1 billion. When I heard when I saw it, I was not expecting that. And I know. Oh, well, no, don't want to go there. Now, I know that, I know a lot about movies and stuff like that. I was expecting this to do very well. I was not expecting to do this well. This is fantastic. They must be thrilled with the response they've been getting for this movie. But, yeah. Clever. So yeah, I definitely... That should work. I definitely agree with the analysts. This is probably going to reach 1 billion unless there's some huge controversy that happens that people care about, which there really isn't when it comes to the Super Mario Brothers movie. So yeah, it will do well. It will probably reach 1 billion, which will also mean we're going to see another movie franchise for the next couple of years. Don't be surprised if you see a Donkey Kong movie or a Luigi's Mansion movie. I am hoping for a Metroid movie, but somehow I doubt that's going to happen. But we'll see when that happens. Next one, Hidetaka Miyazaki named one of the most influential people in the world according to Time. The only game creator to do this before him was Shigeru Miyamoto back in 2007. That's rarefied air, friends. That's somebody who really... That's somebody who is changing the industry, not only in the industry sense, but also the perception of games in the first place. Let's really think about this for a second. How much, if you've been watching the industry, how many pundits, how many people have been saying, oh, gamers want their games easy. They don't want it hard. They don't want to suffer. They just want to enjoy themselves. Okay? And then games like Demon's Souls suddenly do phenomenal sales. Games like Dark Souls do really good. Miyazaki. Yeah, Miyazaki has been a person that essentially has been doing the exact opposite of what the industry pundits have been saying, and he's been flourishing. And he got mainstream success. Right now, isn't Elden Ring now at 20 million sales now? That's ridiculous. No one was thinking it was going to get that much sales, but here we are. They are doing phenomenal sales. And then they have DLC coming out in how long? Well, probably no time soon. But DLC is coming out at some point for that game, and that's expected to be a big deal when that happens. So, yeah, Miyazaki's killing it, and I think he deserves the distinction that he is probably one of the more influential and important video game makers out there. I think that's absolutely fair. I think that is incredibly fair to call him that. So, yeah, congratulations on him. He deserves that. And I guess good on Time for saying something mildly relevant. Something that I've never seen Time do in the past, several years at this point. So good on you, Time. You did something right for once. Good job. Moving on to the next story. Super Mario Brothers theme will now be the first piece of game music in the Library of Congress. Other pieces of music joining are Imagine by John Lennon, Like a Virgin by Madonna, Take Me Home Country Roads by John Denver, and All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. Yeah, I'm one of the weirdos that actually loves that Mariah Carey song. I know a lot of people now, it's popular to be annoyed by that song. I love that song. But then again, I really like Mariah Carey, so, fuck y'all. No, kidding. But anyway, yeah, like, this is interesting. And the thing that I think surprises me about this is not that it's there. That doesn't really surprise me that much. But that we're not hearing a lot of people complaining about this. Now, you could also say, well, who cares about the Library of Congress? But these are the kinds of things that when this happens, that usually there's a story that, Library of Congress gets their new list of pieces of music in there, and something there is quite different from the others, and that is the Super Mario Brothers theme music by Koji Kondo. Like, you would hear those stories, and people are like, what? That piece of shit? Who cares about the do? Like, that's not music. What the hell? Like, I'm not hearing that. Like, I'm not hearing that at all. So that right there is fantastic news. So I think people are okay with that to a certain extent. Maybe they're just okay with that one. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see in the next few years that we see the theme to The Legend of Zelda end up on there. Mr. Negative. Yeah. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Legend of Zelda theme in the next couple of years. Next up. Nintendo Live Fan Fest is coming to Seattle later this September. It's going to feature live performances, tournaments, and gameplay demos for new games. This might be what is replacing the E3 thing for Nintendo. And then think about it for a second. Like, the past few years, Nintendo has been doing their big fall push as a September Direct. They've been trying to get themselves out of that June time frame and trying to make a time for themselves. And I think if there's any company that can do that and get away with it, it is probably Nintendo. So, yeah, I mean, that's not a bad idea. And I wouldn't be surprised if we come to find out that, a Fan Fest is September, and guess what? Around that time that Fan Fest is going on, the new Nintendo Direct is going to be going on too. I don't think any of us would be surprised if that were to happen, where if they would turn around and go, oh yeah, and guess what? You guys are here? You can now watch the Direct with all the people who love Nintendo as well. That sounds like a fantastic idea. Wow, this is a shit hand. Oh, this is a terrible hand. I might want to just retreat this one. This is bad. Yeah, I'm retreating. Yeah, you can retreat out of this, and you can get less. You can lose less by doing so. There was no way I was winning that game. Oh boy. So yeah, do not be surprised if we come to find that this is going to replace their E3 thing. And when you want to find out the big announcements that are happening for the fall, new games that are coming out, this is the place they're going to do it. I don't know if they're going to do it this year, but I wouldn't be surprised if the following years they start to say, let's have it in August, and then we'll have our big Direct in August. Like I think that's what's going to happen. Next up is more Activision Blizzard acquisition news. Gamers file amended lawsuit to block the Activision Blizzard purchase. When I read this story, the first thing I thought, and I know it's going to make me sound like a dick, but the first thing I said to myself was, oh, that's cute. That's cute. Like, to be fair, some gamers seem to think that, if we allow this to go through, games are going to get more expensive. We're going to have less game. Like, I hate to say this to you guys, but you're going to get that anyway. And do you know why you're going to get that anyway? Because when it happens, and people warn you that's what's going to happen, you do nothing. You just go ahead and say, oh, there's nothing I can do. And you just take it. And at this point, this is what you're going to have to deal with. Like, this merger is not going to change the fact that games are going to constantly raise in price. That's been happening ad nauseum for the past 15 years. And what happens is that some gamers complain, but in the end, you buy it anyway. So the merger is not going to change that. I hate to say that to you. It's just not going to change. So if you are deeply worried about that, let me just ease your fears. The merger is not going to affect that because it's going to happen anyway. So if you are having issues with that, I mean, I hate to say this, but look in the mirror because at this point, and I've been saying this for years, the more and more that you keep accepting these price raises, when really there is no reason for these prices to be raised, they will say to you, oh, games are more expensive nowadays. And yeah, games are more expensive nowadays, and we have to keep up with inflation. Like, seriously. Like, games make so much damn money nowadays. All right? That what they're saying... How do I put this? Games are getting expensive, sure. I will agree to that to some point. But the fact remains that that these games, they're not spending what? They're not charging you $10, $15, $20 to play. Some games do. But for the most part, they're not having you spend $10, $15, $20. They're having you spend literally $60, $70, $80, $90 a game to play their games. Okay? They're not hard up for cash. They really are not. Like, I hate to say this to you guys, but these developers and these business people have been duping you for a long-ass time at this point. Like, they've been saying, oh, these developers, they just, you want them to eat, right? You want this, right? I'm like, you really want, like, oh, my God, support the developers. And what happens every time? The developers leave, and the people up top get the money. That's what happens. Like, it never goes to developers. The developers get paid no matter what. They may get bonuses, okay? They may get bonuses for what they do, okay? But that's contingent on their contract. And the problem that I've read about when it comes to game developers is that when it comes to the business side, they're terrible. They act against their own interests every time. They're given... sometimes they're given advice, hey, don't do this or else they're gonna F you, but they'll say, oh, but I got to because of X, Y, and Z, and they'll do it anyway. And then in 2 years they'll complain that they're burnt out, they feel unappreciated, but they were warned that, if you accept these terms, you're gonna get screwed here. And that's what happens. Look at what happened with Obsidian with Fallout New Vegas, okay? Missed their bonus metric by 1 point, and they all missed a bonus. Like, who forgets that? So, like, the whole thing, we have to raise prices in order to pay for the cost. Like, no, they're making profits hand over fist. They could spend, like, look, I have said this, the most that you should ever pay for a game, in my opinion, is $50. Because that gives them enough where they can pay their costs, they can pay their expenses, and to a certain extent, which is becoming more and more irrelevant, that they can help with the people who do the retail stuff, the retail side. So for that stuff, yeah, absolutely, that's great. $50 should be enough. Okay, $60 was too much way back then. $70 is criminal at this point, and they're going to reach 80 at some point. Mark my words, they're going to reach 80. But this Activision merger is not going to change that. It's you guys that can change that. When you decide to stop spending $70 on a game that, I hate to say to you also, is often either incomplete, broken, or just generally a mess when it comes in, okay, when you guys learn that lesson to stop spending the money, like, then you can go ahead and that's when the prices will go down. I mean, let me give you a personal anecdote, okay? I was kind of interested in Forspoken, but I looked at it and went, that doesn't look very good, even though I'm interested, but I am definitely not spending $70 in it, okay? It's been out for 2 months. I bought it recently. Do you know how much I bought it for? $25. I waited 2 months, and I got it for more than half off the price. Now, some of you are saying, well, yes, Forspoken. Forspoken was terrible, and no one liked it. And that might be the case. You might be right on that. You might be the case that, people just didn't like the game, that's why it was cheap. Okay, fine. That might very well be the case. But then that also proves the point that if you are just patient and you let the hype and the sales just die down, you'll get it for much cheaper. And that's what I've been doing for since I have not been able to, I used to be a lot like you guys and spend a good amount of money on new games, every week. And at the time, I was making good money and I had a good job. I had no problem doing that, even though in the back of my head I'm going, I mean, this is going to become untenable after a certain point. And then personal things happened. I lost my job, and then I had to be much more frugal with my funds and everything. But that's what you have to do at that point. And then I started realizing, wait a minute. I should have known this by now, that if I just wait, sometimes it's 2 weeks. If you wait 2 weeks, literally, if you wait 2 weeks, you'll get the games at a cheaper price. And that's the dirty little secret that this industry knows about, is that deep down, they know that too. And if they know that, don't you think they realize that, we don't necessarily have to do this, but since they're buying it anyway, why the hell not? And that's the only reason why they're doing this, because you fall for it. You keep buying. You keep doing it. You get into the hype. You get excited. You decide, I must have that game right now so I can talk to everybody on Twitter about it or wherever you do it. And that gives up the FOMO. I hate that term, but that makes the FOMO even stronger. And then what do you do at that point? You just essentially end up buying the game anyway, even though literally a month later, it will be much less. Okay? Just think about that next time. All right, when you decide, I have to buy this game because it's coming out and it's going to be the new popular game everyone's talking about. Wait a few months, wait a month, wait a few weeks. It could get lower, but the merger is not going to change that. Your buying habits will. That's what and the judge, if he's smart, he'll probably notice that too, or he won't even look at that past that. He'll say the same thing I did. Oh, that's cute. Toss in the garbage, and that's it. But anyway. Next story, Microsoft announced a 10-year commitment to UK mobile service operator and internet service provider EE. I don't understand this one particularly, because maybe it's different in England. But in America, all the internet service provider does is provide the internet, and that's it. There might be a cloud service or a streaming service on there that they have that they might want to put Call of Duty and other Activision games in, and that might be what's going on here and why they're giving them a 10-year commitment. But, yeah, I mean, I don't really understand why they had to do this for an internet service provider. So there's not much more I could say about that, but this is just more of Microsoft trying to show the regulators of all the countries that the regulators are not happy with that they're willing to open up, they're willing to play ball, and to make some commitments so Sony can get their act together and come up with a competitor. I think that's what they're trying to do in this, and that's basically what it's for. Excuse me. Okay, so let's get into the miscellaneous stories. First off, PlayStation stopped sending thank you for your purchase emails for PS Plus free game purchases. Yeah, I gotta be honest with you guys. I got fooled a couple times by these, where I get these purchases. I do the, I haven't, so here's what's been going on with me. I haven't played my PS5 in over a year. I have not felt the need to play it. I personally do not like the DualSense controller. I think it doesn't feel comfortable at all on my hands. I don't like the plastic that is used on the controller. And I just, like I said, I do not enjoy using that controller. I don't think it's bad necessarily, but it's just not comfortable for me. I just do not like using it for long periods of time. But I definitely like the Xbox Series X and its controller. Like, I guess it's a case of don't break something that doesn't need to be fixed, I guess. I think that's how I look at it, but yeah. Okay. But yeah, that's how I look at it at that point. So yeah, but basically what I'm saying is when I would do that and I would get those purchases and then I get the emails, I'm like, oh my God, I think someone broke into my email. And then I broke into my PlayStation account. And that's happened to me before. Years ago, I was working, I worked at a bank. I was working, and after work, I noticed that funds were depleting from my account at a rapid pace. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Do I have bills? And what happened was someone broke into my Xbox account and essentially stole money from me through FIFA points and started purchasing a whole mess of FIFA points from my account. And I had to get my Microsoft account, I not only had to close it, but then I also had to turn around and they had to block it for about a month. So I couldn't use my Microsoft account and my Xbox Live account for like a whole month while they try to figure out what happened and I guess making sure that it wasn't fraud in this case. And since I worked for the bank, I filed my own paperwork on fraud, and so that was covered on that end. But yeah, I've always been careful. I get all my purchases sent on email just to make sure what happens. So when I kept seeing these emails, I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And like for a while, I was like, oh my God. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. These are the PS Plus games that I got. Oh, God, fucking damn it. So yeah, I would get fooled by that too. So it's good that they're stopping doing that. But I do hope they have an email in there as well that says, hey, you redeemed your PS Plus game. I don't think they should just cut the email out entirely. Next one, Diablo 4 seasonal content, not new story campaigns. Battle passes will take 80 hours to complete, according to Assistant Game Director Joe Pepiora. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. When I first read this, I was like, no effing way. 80 hours to complete. Are you effing mad? Now, that being said, and if you thought that too, I completely understand. That is crazy. That being said, I'm looking back at the amount of time that I spent playing the Diablo 3 season this past season. It's been out for a month. I've played about 40 to 50 hours of that season. And endgame for Diablo is not really involved, but it's big enough where you're going to spend a sizable amount of time playing it. So if you're into Diablo, I mean, odds are you are going to spend a lot of time playing it. So in this case, I think 80 hours is still a little too much. But is this unheard of? Not really. Like I said, I've on a season that I'm into Diablo 3, I think I've spent about 80, 90, 100 hours on a season. Like, that's not new. So I'm not entirely surprised by that. But the initial shock, I was like, what the hell? Like, the initial shock, yeah, surprised me. But upon reflection, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I've spent more hours playing Diablo 3 than I can count. So that's not too surprising. So, yeah. Initially, it was like, whoa, you're nuts. But upon further reflection, it's not that bad. We'll move on to the next story. Well, we'll move on to what looks to be the final story. EA Sports to invest $10 million in grassroots football projects, which aims to help local communities improve their football fields. Football being soccer, by the way, for you Americans. EA's got to do something to get their EAFC brand out there. And I think this route is not that bad of an idea. Because if you guys don't recall, or you're not aware, we did a story about this months ago, so if you don't remember, that's fine. EA is losing the rights to use the FIFA branding. According to reports, FIFA asked for an exorbitant amount of money, and FIFA and EA pretty much said, nah, fam, we're not doing that. That's insane. So they went ahead and started getting licenses from all the big leagues, and they are going to have their own EAFC game, which they are probably going to start doing an advertising blitz for soon. So that would not surprise me in the least to find that. And this might be what they're trying to do to gain more publicity for the EAFC brand, to divorce it from FIFA in that sense. Now, I've said this before, but and I will say it again. I think when it comes down to... Oh, is that a good idea? I think when it comes down to it, EA is probably going to get less sales this year on their football games, or soccer games as you would call them. They're going to get less sales this year because of the switch of the branding. I think that's just going to happen at this point. But in the end, though, I mean, what I think is going to happen is they're going to get less sales this year. It's going to take them 2 to 3 years to come back. I don't have enough credits. It's going to take them a couple of years to come back to where they were at FIFA, the last FIFA. And then when that happens, loot boxes will probably be banned in most countries. And then they're going to have to redo the entire FIFA Ultimate Team thing. And I think that's not going to work because I don't think people are going to spend $100 on a Pele card. I just don't see that happening. So, yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with EA and these sports games when it comes to these card-based games. But, this was being talked about a while now, so this is not a surprise. But this is what they got to do. They got to get more of their game and the word of their game out there. And it's good. It's for a good cause. So in that case, not bad. But this is definitely a PR kind of branding thing. Okay, so that's it for the stories this week. Next week, I will be covering a game that I think I'm sure that I forgot to talk about when I talked about new games for this month. Disney Speedstorm is coming out of early access, and it's coming free to play it is going into early access, I should say, and it's going to be free to play on April 18th. And I think it might be a good time to talk about what I think its sales potential will be. So that will likely be Monday's story and Monday's topic. So look forward to that when it happens. Let me finish this match, and then we will sign off. So guys, if you have games, or if you have games for the Weekly Dividend, or for the segments that I do, that you are interested in me playing in the background or during the dividend, let me know in the comments section or on social media. I'm at Capital Games Pod on Twitter. Or you can email us at zerowizcast@gmail.com, and I will take your suggestions under advisement. We had a viewer suggest a movie, just last week that we should watch, and we are going to watch the movie they suggested starting next week. So we definitely listen to our fans and to our viewers. So if you have something you're interested in, want to see, or you want me to discuss, feel free to let me know. I would love to hear what you guys think. Let's hope I win this one. All right, let's see how it goes. Oh, I won this. Yeah. Oh, ignore all location abilities next. That's all right. I won the final one. All right. All right, guys. Well, that is it for this episode of the Weekly Dividend for April 14th, 2023. Yeah, I had technical issues this week as well, so that's why this one is coming in late. But I appreciate all the love that you give and watching the videos. So I definitely appreciate you guys and sticking with me here on this journey here. So if you want to check out the movie club, we are reviewing Arrival, the Denis Villeneuve film starring Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner, and Forrest Whitaker. And we're also going to be, me and Kim are going to be reviewing Field of Dreams starring Kevin Costner on Thursday as well. So until next time, I am The Wiz. This is the Capital Games. Talk to you next time. Bye. Thank you for listening to this podcast segment. The Capital Games podcast is done every week, and we post it on all your favorite podcast apps, as well as segments on YouTube. If you want to listen to another segment, you can listen to a new one right there on the screen. We also do a movie podcast called the Capital Games Movie Club. If you'd like, you can go ahead and click on that and see all the movies that we have reviewed from that point. Thank you for listening, and we hope to hear from you soon.